Closing down the market here inside the last half hour. Late day Q&A for us here. Trade ideas, open forum. So please, fire away questions. As per usual, I will fill the time with whatever content that I can. Try to keep it interesting, keep it busy, and keep it moving for everybody. Alrighty. But again, this is a better experience for all of us when we're learning, we're growing together, and you guys are firing away questions. Change my display setting a little bit here. It looks like we could change that around a little bit, make it a little nicer for you all. There we go. Reformat this a little bit here. So again, open content, open forum. While I reformat a little bit here, please fire away some questions. Like I said, if not, I'll see what I can and can't come up with for us today. We'll dive maybe into a little bit of an early market recap as we start to wind it down. And take a look around the horn at what some of these different windows that I was looking at today did here. So all right, I don't see any questions coming in yet. Setting up a sell order of a little position here in NM. Marine time holding there. Setting up a partial sell order for what I've got there. So, all right, let's take a market cap look around the horn here. Take a look at the SPY first, see what's doing there. And so about much of the same, peeled off the all-time highs, obviously a little bit there. Bring in a drawing tool, so I'm a little closer here, right? And we can see it's been pretty straight up shoot since COVID, more or less. All right. Areas of interest. All right. We're now sitting below that line. The longer we stay below that line, the more quote unquote bearish we will look. It looks like we're in for a choppy market for a little bit here. A lot of uncertainty with politics and debt ceilings and things of this nature. So, kind of wedging down this way a little bit. We can see in that price action on the SPY. And we have to keep in mind that SPY is tech heavy, so it's really going to affect a lot of what we're doing here. But again, as we look at this position in 20-day low, mostly healthy steps up on those 20-day positions and low. It's our first step down since May of this year. So that's what we look at on the SPY. The bears want to see us continue to grind lower, where the bulls are going to try to want to recapture some of these moving averages. This green one's your 50. Blue's your 20 SMA, and there's a red one here. You can see it better back here, but it's one of those fast ones, so it's a red 8 EMA I have in that red color there. Let's peel out. Let's take a look at the Qs. Again, tech heavy. Imagine we're going to see much of the same thing here. Triple Q, not double Q. And again, it's open forum, so please interrupt me anytime. Questions that we have on the platform. I know there's different people that talk to you during the day in our different support chats. And asking people to come here, get your questions answered, whether it's about Holly or building Windows alerts, things like that. So, Joe, how are you? Thanks for chiming in there. Again, Joe, if you got questions, fire away. We'll see what we can answer, what we can't do for us here. In the meantime, taking a look back at the tech-heavy NASDAQ. Same kind of story here. A little more grinding down here, a little sharper on that wedge moving down off all-time highs. But we're above what I would consider a pretty significant pivot line here for the NASDAQ. We continue to bang on it. But this is kind of the line in the sand here. And again, below here, we become more bearish, obviously. The longer we stay above it, the more bullish. So glad that you find it helpful, Joe. Excellent. And there's no question about the platform. That's too much to answer here. I don't know everything. I can get stumped here and there, but I've got a pretty good handle on the platform, using it for quite a while now. So that's what I'm here for. I'd like to help our users really learn and grow using the platform. And while we always tell people we don't necessarily teach trading, doesn't mean we don't talk about charts and sectors and setups and things like that. So that said, not a lot to write home about the Nasdaq either. Chop, 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 just like the SPY. And again, under pressure from these moving averages, run right into this 8 EMA here today, rejected again. So, quite a bit of work to do to get back over that and into the 20 and 50 SMAs. We'll see how that plays out over the next few days, and again, things that are happening in the news, whether it be COVID and the debt ceiling and energy crises and migrant crisis, unfortunately these things play a role, but you try to shut all that stuff out and just listen to what the charts are saying. And right now the charts are selling, not a bearish case, but a cautious case, and maybe it's the kind of cautious case where your share sizing a little bit smaller as far as, maybe your share sizing a little smaller as far as what you would normally take. Maybe you're exiting trades a little earlier when the cookies are on the table, if you will. Little things like this that we watch as we're going forward. Let's see, David, Chris, I'm gonna say that gray background on the charts is not helpful for clarity. Interesting. Okay, I tone it down to that gray so it's not so bright on me during the day here. But let's see what we can do. Select background color. Oops. Does that look better for you there, my friend? Let me know. See what we can do here. And of course, anybody with trade ideas can do these things too, assuming that you're on the latest production version. 5.5.32, I believe, is the last production version we have out for you all. Let me know if that looks a little better there, David. Perfect. Excellent. This is I still have a bit of a learning curve with broadcasting and things like that. I got to change my resolution so it looks a little better here. There's some people tell me for some reason they can't get this in 1080. I'm broadcasting in 1080 for sure. I've checked my settings twice. I can find it myself on YouTube when I check YouTube that I'm in 1080 here. So I don't know exactly why some other people are having those kind of hang-ups. Just double checking again. Yeah, so yeah, we're 1080. So all right, we look good there again. Open forum, so please fire away those questions for me, everybody. So anyway, so we covered the Nasdaq, and again, chop, chop, chop. Like I said, cautious tail. No, nothing bearish to really write home about. It's been a while since we've had any sort of real pullback. Okay, YouTube's telling you 1080p. All right, yeah. Some people just have chimed in the past and told me they weren't getting it, and maybe it's a setting on their side. I'm not really sure. It's all a little bit new to me broadcasting like this. So let's take a look at the diamonds real quick here. All right, and same kind of thing here. Where's a line that looks important to us for sure? These lows here. We're going to draw a line. And again, when you think of pivot lines and you think of resistance, support lines, things like that, it's not an exact science. You get a lot of quote unquote whoopsies where it could poke its head above or below and pop right back over and up. These things aren't exact. We're trying to give ourselves a good judgment, a good base where we're looking at. I think this is a good line to look at right here. Towed that line for a little bit here, tested it here, tested it here, tested it here, and that little whoopsie that I'm talking about happened right there. And we almost tested it here. We've tested it here. So that's kind of the line in the sand again. Obviously bearish, bullish, chop, chop, chop. Careful, careful, careful. Smaller share size, exit quicker when you've got the money on the table type of stuff going on there. That's what my 2 cents is as far as all that goes. Mike C. I always appreciate the kind words, Mike C. Thank you. So that's where that goes. And now, something I've been looking at a lot more. RSP. This is your Nasdaq. Excuse me. This is your S&P 500, but equally weighted. All right. So we're not tech heavy the way that this is going in this. So it's same basket of stocks that are in the S&P 500. Just how the weighting is done of those is a little different here. So that's where we're at as far as that is concerned. Same kind of idea. I would say that this one is a little less affected by the overall sell-off in general, but it's same kind of chop still. We're sitting, there's an all-time high. We're not quite as far off that percentage-wise, I don't believe, as we are with the traditional S&P or the SPY, but same kind of thing. Dan, how are you? Thanks for joining. Same kind of thing. The tail being is, a lot of what maybe you had working, I can say personally, a lot of what I had working isn't working quite the same. I'm not seeing as much follow through. I'm not seeing the movements in price to the upside as I thought I was. The movements on the downside are a little sharper, and so I've share size a little less lately, and I'm swinging things a little less. I'm taking out half share sizes a little quicker, things like that, not sticking around. So, the plan stays the same. The expectations are what changes with the market. And that's what I've done. Hopefully you're doing some of the same things to protect your profit, manage your risk like that. So, that'll really do it. I mean, on the market recap, as far as that goes, maybe we'll dive back into sectors in a moment here. Sectors are a little weird today, I would say. You got gold towards the top. Um, you know, I'm one of those people, in my personal opinion, gold is a dumb pet rock, but at the same time, no reason you can't make money on a pet rock, right? So if there's a trade there to be had, certainly going to have it. But there's nothing that interests me with gold in general, anyway. So let's dive into Holly real quick here. Um, Another one of those wobbly days, and where I continue to pound that table with Holly, where it's man and machine. Setting play and walking away with Holly on automations, just that's not the way to go. Um, we'll start here from the bottom of the list. She was a reduced risk, LICY. Um, and that was a short that really just didn't work out for her here. Complete opposite way on the day for us. And actually, off that cross there, off this cross here on that 820 on both 5 and 15s, really, really, really healthy move actually going against Holly, unfortunately. So what do we have here? We had a pullback short. All right, she makes this entry right here and kind of toes the line of the entrance for a moment, and then she just starts moving right out of it real fast, and never really looked back on that, unfortunately. And so we can see that the algo said a little over an hour ago, let's exit now and conservative, reduce risk. Let's not hang around for that stop, which was the right call. Got stopped out, and to add insult to injury, unfortunately for Holly on this one, you've got nearly a red bar ignore going on there, and the price still moving up off that red bar ignore. So kind of a bummer. But like we said, it is what it is. Holly's algo saw it one way, things went the other way for her, and so wasn't a great one today. We'll come back to the flip side though, where Holly had a nice winner. And we look at PTR. And this was also a short, looking at separation from the eights. And she makes a nice early call here, 37 after the hour, give or take, on the Eastern time, right in this first 15-minute candle. And she kind of just released it right away. Now, we had a recovery the rest of the day in this. We've come back to the entry price, giving back some again, a little bit to that side. But one of the things we can note here is we're looking at a natural gas company in China. So you always want to be careful when you're looking at China, number one. Number two, we know there's been a massive run up in energy recently, as it is anyways. So if we were to look at the UNG today, natural gas, we're going to see UNG is down today. All right. So the right sector, right call early. Unfortunately, while the sector continued to bleed today here for the US anyways, that China stock has made a recovery. So again, why man and machine is the better combination. You may or may not have been able to make that trade or that entry, somewhere in here in this first 15 minutes that trade was moved. And then you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I'd say 13 or so healthy 5-minute bars to kick around down here after what might have been a healthy entrance anywhere in here to manage that risk of that trade. It pulled back up here, and I would like to think, anybody that's managing risk well would have certainly shed shares by the time it started to make a move against them like that, and all the same while it came back down here. Um, how your plan is, that's what matters in this. How you're managing that trade. You don't want to. There's no worse feeling as a trader, at least for me, being up, 1, 2, 3% in a position and then handing that whole thing back to go red. That's, one of the ugliest feelings, especially when you're looking at more day trading algos like Holly is. That's not to say you can't swing things with Holly, but swinging short is certainly a little bit different than swinging long. That's for sure. I'm going to zip this up a little bit and widen my Holly here a little bit just so I can display everything there. It's a little better. All right, we'll take it back down to a stop out here. And this is a stop out where she's briefly in the money, and very, very briefly. And she makes that entrance right here on this 15-minute bar, just shy of the closing of that first 15-minute bar, as a matter of fact, PUBM. All right. And she just stays in the money very shortly here. See, we're here. So you got a few minutes in the money here, a few minutes in the money there before it really rolls over, comes and stops you out. And it just happens to look like where that stop loss was a really significant level on the day. So here's a way where we could say second mouse gets the cheese, if you will. And perhaps even a re-entry might have been decent on this one. Now, she made a re-entry at 10:08 a.m. So, we're looking at a re-entry, and so that ends at 9:45, 10 o'clock. So she makes a re-entry in here in this bar and comes back down again, swooping up. And so the re-entry on that was actually not a bad re-entry. And that re-entry price was 22.05. We're now looking at 22.67 into the close here. So not a bad re-entry. And again, second mouse gets the cheese. She was a little early on that. Liquid stock, 2.5 mil shares traded today, 3.48 on relative volume, meaning doing 3.5 times its normal volume over 10 days, essentially. And again, that relative volume is going to be heavier weighted here and heavier weighted here, although there's not a lot to write home to mom about right now as far as the volume goes. So, that's the short and skinny of some Hollies here. Again, open forum really for trade ideas users or anybody curious about trade ideas, looking to kick the tires. So fire away some questions for me, please. Unfortunately, my sell order didn't get hit here, but probably going to take this home with me here. I got a few minutes to decide whether I'd like to or not. I was looking at NM, and a little bit hard to see when I put the brighter up here, but that's NM. Got Maritime Holdings there, shippers. Anybody that's been listening to me over the last week plus, they know energy, shippers, and banks is where I've been kind of looking at things. So just kind of monitoring this position going into the close. AFRM, nice move. News catalyst there. And ARFM. Take a look here. I think someone was looking at this earlier. AFRM, sorry. Don't mind me. Long day. Wow, that's a healthy green candle there on the daily chart. Solid 21% right now, looking at on the day, $23. A little out of my price range from what I normally like to trade, but strong rate from the get-go here. We can see as we get a nice separation going in between here with the 8 EMA and the 20 SMA. And you can see as they close back down, you get that push back out again. So, if anybody had an alert that was there, alert window looking at that. Like I said, I'm not looking at stocks quite that high price. I'm sure this was hitting quite a few alert windows on the day, though. A nice trade for anybody that got any piece of that, who doesn't want to get a piece of a 20% gain. Yeah, and Mike, see, it's funny, like LICY, as I was mentioning, Holly was on the wrong side of that one today, but it's a strong chart, that's for sure. And it's in, I believe, lithium, right? Yes, lithium batteries. So this was actually something I had on my liked list for a while. I took it off my liked list, as a matter of fact, as we started to see it rolling over today. And those newer issues, I'm usually pretty quick to cut them off my short list of watching stocks. There's something that maybe I watch again, and I don't think it's any happy accident that we're right butting up against yesterday, as a matter of fact, for the high of yesterday, which was actually the open of yesterday. So, interesting stuff. Is Holly early on this short, and does it roll back over again today? It just gets a happy day of, after 2 days of a big pullback, which way is it going to go? Front row seat for tomorrow. We'll see. But something anybody could do, using the platform, we could always say to ourselves, this 1150 level looks like it might be some kind of significance, right? So we could always right click, create a price alert. We got it clocked in at 1147 based on where it was, but just adjust that real quick, and we could put a note, whatever we want there, Holly was wrong. There we go. We can set that price alert. We can leave that going into tomorrow, and let that kind of play out. It looks like we're just hitting that alert right now. As I said it, looks like we're hitting it. So interesting stuff. Kind of monitoring here the end of the close here. So, and again, please, I really appreciate any questions that come in. As you know, I like to keep this as an open forum for us here. Things we'd like demonstrated with the software, questions, comments, concerns, so on and so forth. Wasn't really anything to write home about today for Barry's windows that I like to watch during the day. Think this caught the top, unfortunately. Yep, caught the top. Oh, this made a solid alert here at 84. So I hadn't been watching. That came in at 210. So we're looking at right here on this candle. Beautiful move off that alert, and pound back home. Nearly a red bar ignore right there, and a beautiful move off of that. So again, might be something to watch. We can see the options volume 361, so it's a little more than 3.5 times. Bob, 2 questions. TI learning, trying to simulate trading day and could not get ordered trades via the charts today. I'm sure I'm doing something wrong. All right, so let's start with question 1 here, Bob. Let me take a look here on my position. Coming down to the close. I get rid of that order there for me right now. And let's bring over my brokerage plus window. Okay. And we're going to connect to Trade Ideas Simulated. All right. And we're going to go into strategies. All right. And just for argument's sake, we're going to use 100 shares, one of the default ones here at market. So we're going to right click and we're going to come and we're going to find set as chart long strategy. Okay. I'm going to right click here too, and we're going to come into the edit. And this is where we would set up how we want this to all work. So, what time it's running from. So it's running beginning to close, the order details. We're going to put it as a market order. We can put it as a limit order. All right. We can set up the risk management here. Let's, go with the stop loss percent of, let's say, 2%. Let's go with a target of 4%. These are just arbitrary numbers that I'm using for examples here. We don't need a hold time on this. We're just trying to share it off the charts. All right, we're going to click OK. And we're going to right click. We're going to enable. See, strategy is disabled. We're going to click to enable. Boom, enable. All right. I'm going to come up here, buy. And we're going to click. And select an account there too. And sorry, I do believe I missed here one vital piece. Edit strategy, accounts none, account simulated trading. Save, okay. And there we can see that my orders all went in just like that. So we've got I put in a limit order essentially for 627. It set my target, it set my stop, and as soon as we get the fill, we'll know it. All right. And we can see all the orders in the order tab that are sitting here. I can change this order if I want. All right. So I can grab this order right here, for example, and I can move it right up to 28, 29. Time and sales tell me it's pulled. So I'm going to put that back on 27. And there I got the fill. And you can see the fills right there. So we're long. There's a position. All right, symbols. So position and plus or minus on it. We're at 100 shares. Entry price is 628. Last price, target price, stop price. And so that's what we're looking at. So, all right, we got that perfect. I attempted to set up Brokerage Plus, thought my Interact Brokers account, and was on sale to watch YouTube videos. Any tips for me? So perhaps some of what I just answered or did there answered question 2 as well for you, Bob. Let me know and I'll circle back on that. But essentially the same thing. You have to set the account in both the strategy, if you're using a strategy specifically, and then you set the account here too. And setting the account here is simply setting it for these 2 that are always on, your discretionary long and short. These are placeholders essentially. And what they really are is these sell and buy buttons is what they are. There's no altering those. There's no anything to those. Altering those is done here on this interface. You're going market, you're going limit, so on and so forth. So that's where that is. Let me know, Bob, if that all helped and worked out for you. Let me get rid of that. I see other things coming in. I am going to get to those right now. Let me move things back around here. Reconnect my TWS. And well, we're closing week on NM on me here. So, all right, take a look at AVPT. Sure, take a look at AVPT. And what do we got going on here with AVPT? So not a lot doing here. Under pressure. Is this a newer issue here? Let's get rid of this. All right, yeah, so we're looking at a new issue here, and obviously something I must have looked at some point. It's got a horizontal line on it. What it'd say is, let's take a look at anchor VWAP from the IPO. And so, it's way under that anchor VWAP from the IPO. You're going to want to see, there's not much going on, doing almost half its relative volume over 10-day average. You don't exactly have a lot of 10-day averages to take from here right now. I'm giving an arbitrary lines on these 10-day averages, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, not a lot of data to go off of. 500,000 shares traded today. That's kind of a decent range going on right there for an $8 stock. If you're in it already, all I can say is have your stop loss defined. If it was something that for some reason I was interested in it right now, I'd probably be using the low of yesterday as my stop right now, and managing this trade moving forward. You kind of want to see at the very least some sideways action to build off of here, and I think you're really going to want to have the market on your side for this one, as there doesn't seem to be any catalyst unless there's something news-wise or company-wise. There's just not a lot that's going on there as far as that chart goes. Let's widen this down so we can get some more data here. There we go. And it's such a new issue. There's no short float growth, anything to look at for all this kind of stuff there. So, it was a Holly call yesterday. Yeah. Where did she get it at? I'll take a look here. She took it at 807. So look, if you're sitting in it already from a Holly call and you decided to swing it, she gave you a little bit more alpha off the close today. Not much. Coming up here, she stayed range bound most of the day with the exception of this move down and up. I'm not sure what that's all about. Buy and sell orders that are going on there. Maybe some funny business. Who knows? I would say just manage it according to what your risk is. Shed shares accordingly, on that upside. And that's what what I got on that. E-Trade was having server trouble on their website and software that affect how it worked with TI's Brokerage Plus. Not as far as I know, David. I didn't see any tickets come in. I handle a lot of Brokerage Plus stuff here. I more handle the IB Brokerage Plus stuff. The way E-Trade links through, we link through the website technically. So as long as our API can connect into theirs, or we can connect into their API, however that works, I won't pretend that I understand all the dev talk of that. There shouldn't be any issues coming in and out, other than the one issue that we know that we have that is on our production page notes for the download, where any orders going in through automation on the open of E-Trade crashes because E-Trade simply can't handle them. We're finally got their devs to talk to our devs a little bit more here, and so now we're documenting things and putting together notes and taking videos and lines of code and sending that over to them to see what we can or can't work out with them. But as far as I know, David, nothing came in that has anything to do with E-Trade today and not working properly. So that connection all looks to be solid for us. So again, open forum here. We're 4 o'clock. Market is closed. Please fire away some questions. Like I said, it's always a little nicer for me when you guys are firing away questions and I don't have to just ramble on and make up the content. Mike C is always kind, calling me a great trader and things like that. But I keep things very, very simple. I stay to my plan. Try to stay true to myself. As you can see, I don't have a lot of alerts that have come through today on my lists or anything like that. I like very narrow set of quality data, what I consider quality data. So just responding to somebody here via a text or type here from our support chat. So, all right, with that said, that's good. Must have been downstream where. And look, so this leads me into, outside of trade ideas realm, I get asked a lot, what's the best broker to use? There is no best broker to use. E-Trade has no commissions. TD Ameritrade has no commissions. IB charges commissions and charges for data if you need the data. But, when was the last time IB went down? Never. Basically, in all the years that I've either used them, or anybody, Barry, who runs the traders room all day long, he can't say enough good things about IB. He's used them for a very long time. He gets very defensive when people attack IB, and I don't blame him. I have a personal preference of Thinkorswim, but I also have a personal preference of our Brokerage Plus interface. So that's kind of how that goes for me. I prefer our Brokerage Plus interface over anything. We will have a TD Ameritrade connection. When? I don't know. I can't tell you that. If I could, I would. I can't, so I'm not going to. That's kind of how that works. So that's just a personal preference. What brokerages can we connect with? Right now, only IB and E-Trade directly. We can externally link to any brokerage basically, which just means that if you click a symbol here in Trade Ideas, it'll send it to either your brokerage charts or your order entry box, either one. So for example, now this is IB's time and sales, but I could do this with Thinkorswim's time or sales, or I could do this with Fidelity's time and sales. I used to use Fidelity. I do like them. So what you're going to see here is as I click through these symbols, you're going to see them load right here. So, GSL, we're going to go to CNO. All right. From here, I would have to order, if this was not IB, I'd have to share size and execute the order myself manually through their platform. So, if you're handy with hotkeys and things of those natures, stuff that I don't personally use, all the power to you, and you could use it like that. Otherwise, it's IB and E-Trade for now. As far as I know, TD Ameritrade will be next. We were pretty far along in the development of them before we ran into the same problem that we did with E-Trade and their API being a complete mess. So that's where we're at with that. Can you show how you would set up an option scan? What I could do is I can show you this option scan that Mr. Barry has made that runs our traders room. So this is called moving higher with unusually strong options volume. Right click here, and we're going to come to configure. This gives you our configure window here, and this is just all the different or filters that are in here, but we can break it down. So the first thing we can do is look at the selected alert, which is our event, the catalyst. So the stock has to be making a new high on the day. Okay. Then we come to the window specific filters. Let's clean this up a little bit. And what we want to see here is Barry set this up to look at stocks in between $1 and $25. Has to trade at least 500,000 shares on the day. The relative volume is 3, meaning that the ratio is doing 3x what it has been doing over a 10-day average. He wants it to show us that stocks are up from the close from the previous day. So we put that as 0.01. Options volume here. And if you're wondering what this means, so we can go right click, help. All right. And so it's on a percent, 300%, meaning it's 3 times normal. And right clicking and help gave me this. It just populated on another page. So here we go, options volume. So these filters are based on the number of options contracts traded on an average day. This includes both puts and calls. Again, 10-day average on that. All right. Let's drop that out for a second. We have this options volume today. All right. So we're not confusing the two. We can match them up with their icons. So if we bring this back over, let's move this over. All right. And so we can see that this one matches up here with, scroll back, that one, and we got this one here matching with this one here. All right. And so these filters are based on the number of options traded so far today. Filter stocks based on the exact number of contracts that they've traded today, or you can compare the number of contracts traded with the same stock in its usual entirety day. All right. So that's kind of how that all goes. There we go. Sorry, just had a message coming in. Just want to make sure what was going on. And that's what we have there. Now, if you're wondering what other options that we have for filters, we come to search here and we can go to options. And this is what we have. It's not a huge amount of stuff for options because we mostly scan for stocks, but this is what we have. You got your call volume, put call ratio, and then these other ones that we've gone over. So um, we could start a scan from the beginning here. So that's one scan that we have, and I can share that scan with everybody here right now. So let me get rid of these things, and we share things via the cloud. So what we go is file, load from cloud. This is that version of that. So I can click that in my cloud. I can go share. It's going to give me this cloud link right here, copy, and we're going to paste that here. And you will all have access to that and copy that URL, or you can click on it. It'll give you a web page, and then you can load it to your cloud. And in order to do that, what you would do is after clicking the URL and copying it, you go to file, load from cloud, and it should be populated here. But if it's not, just copy and paste it there, click load, and you will have that scan that we just went over. Can alert be set to track? Ascending volume increases. No, we don't compare volume in that sense. We don't compare candles at this moment. We're working on technology for it. I don't know exactly when any kind of delivery of those things will get done, unfortunately. Things that some of us here would really like, but things aren't just turning a switch on as far as data goes. When it comes to volume, what we have here, Anthony, is going to be right click, configure. Everything that we have when you see volume is taken over a 10-day average unless specified otherwise. So let's just go into some of the volume things that we have here. All right, let's widen this up a little bit here. All right. So when you're looking at, for example, 1 minute volume on percent, that's taking what an average of 1 minute, 10 days of 1 minute volume and what is averaged over that. So for example, it's done in a percent. If we were to put 300 in for a minimum, that means it's got to be doing at least 3 times what it had been doing over a 1 minute span of time, averaged over the last 10-minute days. And the same kind of follows for 5, 15, 30 minutes. All right. And then here's the relative volume that's done in ratio. We do have share dollar volume here. Again, 10-day average. Now, for some of the advanced users, I don't really go down this hole. I make mention of it, but I can't really demonstrate it here because it'll reveal account information of mine. We have these codes for these filters. So people can take these codes and kind of put them together with C programming and create their own filters, if you will. But we have to have the data point for it. So, for example, we don't have a data point for 7-minute volume. So that's just not possible. We don't have a data for 200-minute volume. So it's just not possible. What we do have, though, is, and I can share this out with the raw, it's not the raw codes, but it's the code that leads you to the raw code, if you will. And this will make sense in a second when I bring this over. Custom formulas. All right, so these essentially here are all the codes, all right? This is just not cooperating for me. There we go. All right, so these are your codes, and you can take these, copy and paste them into the formula editor on the login page there, where you see custom formulas. All right, so you can take any of these and kind of work that into whatever you want. It's a copy paste of these codes essentially. And we do have a bit of an instruction page that's here. I'll share that with you, what it looks like. And so this is what this looks like, formula editor overview. All right. And it kind of goes over the way things can be used in programs, so on and so forth. Um, what the different formats mean for display and formula numbers, what your graphics are. So for example, the graphics in these columns, sometimes you see these like kind of fancy cones that fill in different colors. That's what that's talking about there, where you can choose the graphic if you want. How position and ranges work, 0 to 100. Continue, continue, continue. All right, some of the standard operations here for C programming language. So you don't need to be any expert, but you do have to understand how to make these kind of if then, greater than statements, so on and so forth, how to turn something into a percent or a ratio. Those are the kind of things. And then these are some of the codes that we have that are not displayed on the last page that I shared. So, you've got your last price, most recent close, expected open, seconds after the open. So it's like a time of day filter, days of the week, your today's high, today's low, your pre-market high, your pre-market low. And this is a way that some people want to have volume in shares per minute. So these are the codes that you could do shares per minute for 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute, and 30 minutes, showing you how many shares were traded over that time. So, someone that understands how to put some of these codes and string them together, spends a little time with us, Anthony, they could probably make some kind of ascending volume together with all that. Um, but not something that I currently do myself. I don't really play around with the customs, but they do exist. We do have some support for them. You could always fire an email off to us at info@trade-ideas.com, and we can certainly, get you pointed in directions. We do have a video that goes over some of this, pretty good video that Michael Noss did. So that's, as far down the line as I can go on customs. Right. So, those are the things that we can go there. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I circle back some, like, see, put something, LXRX came off of my evening scan. Let me take a look here. What did LXRX do today? And I have a scan that I use at night to, go through and find setups for my next day. Oh boy, I sure like that chart. Too bad it's pharmaceuticals, but for those that don't know, I love cup and handles. I love horseshoe ups. So what do I see here? Beautiful cup, beautiful handle, and we can even go one more right there, real fast, like. And when patterns are fractal, even better on multiple time frames. Look at that. All right. Now, I always disclaimer, this is a pattern I like. I will see it even when it's not there. I'm well aware of that. So it cuts both ways for me. It has helped me. It has hurt me seeing that pattern. But it has helped me much more than it has hurt me. And that's kind of my bread and butter pattern that I look for, especially on daily charts. Like I said, in this chop over the last several months, haven't fared as well with it on swinging, but still eking out some cookies here and there to pile away for the kids' college fund. So we're at 13 past the hour. I will have to run right out of here at 4:30 today. I stuck around a couple of other days here, a little bit after my closing bell at 4:30. So please, fire away any questions that we have. Happy to demonstrate stuff, go over different things. Um, Cprx. Let's take a look at that too there, Mr. Mike C. Great, great looking chart there, Mike C, on LXRX. I really like that one. Like I said, the only thing is pharmaceuticals. But listen, pharmaceuticals cut both ways. You could swing something like that overnight and wake up and it's a home run. You could swing it overnight and wake up and your account or your position be at zero. So you know, live by the pharmaceutical, die by the pharmaceutical. Let's take a look though at Cprx. I feel like that's something with heart stock, right? I feel like I traded this a long time ago. Yeah, this is. I think it's something to do with heart medicine, or am I wrong? Bio company development, commercialization, neuromuscular. No, I guess I was wrong. I thought it had something to do with cardiovascular, but I know I traded this a long time ago, actually. Um, Same kind of thing though. Um, Bit of a shame that you have it, got this and that makes this lower move before kind of booming up here like this. But you can see obviously I've had some interest in it over the years. All those pivot lines that are right there. Another one to mark up though. I'm just shy of 2 million, doing almost 3 times its relative volume over last 10 days. It's definitely something to keep an eye on, that's for sure. You always set a price alert. Obviously, this is a big deal. We'll see where that opens up and is able to push through to tomorrow. Let's see, lifetime high is 767, so you're not exactly far off dollar wise. Percent wise, got a bit of a mountain to climb on that, but all the same, numbers and numbers. circle back there with Mike C. Thanks for pointing those out, Mike C. Always feels good to know my evening scan's putting out some stuff. And those that are wondering, my evening scan, really simple scan. I always pound the table. I like position in 20-day ranges. The lows, the highs, I want to see them breaking. So I load from cloud. We're going to go my evening scan. I like to trade not very expensive stocks. Sorry, clicking the wrong thing here. Bear with my clumsy fingers. And so this is what we're looking at today. So LXRX, that's where you're seeing it. CPRX, that's where he's seeing it. Any special layout items on the way, remember? Dan, I had it on my mind this morning, and then because of the security update that we did last night with the website and a whole bunch of other stuff that went on, we had what started off to be 10 users ended up probably being about 100 users have some data issues today. And I was stuck in a whole bunch of remotes today trying to help people sort some stuff out with that. I just never got around to it. So it was absolutely on my mind, Dan. And absolutely, I was just beyond swamped today to be able to get into that. So please forgive me, but it wasn't something that I forgot about. And I will circle back on that at some point for sure. So my evening scan here, as always, right click, configure. Let's take a look at what the scan is looking at. Windows specific filters. Let's clean that up a little bit. I am looking at stocks between $4 and $30. I want to see that it traded 750,000 shares today. Relative volume was 1. Trying to just weed out any noise. I want to make sure there's some interest in the stock, and that there's a catalyst of volume at least going into the next days. And then position in 20-day range. I want to see it 75% above the low of its 20-day range. I want to see it breaking out, and then I like to see them close higher on the day too. So I want to see it close 75% above the low of today's range as well. And that's it. I'm looking at the major exchanges, not looking at any Pinks, OTCs, nothing like that. The sort isn't overly important on this one. It's just that because I use it in the after hours, I don't have to worry about using a filter that doesn't work in the after hours or the pre hours. And what I mean by that is if you were to try to set the scan a top list to live always, and you use something like relative volume that doesn't work in pre and post market, it won't populate data. So let me give you a real good example of this right now. If we right click, we're going to go to time frame, live always. All right. And here it's going to shuffle because it had been set to look at things on the close. Let's widen this out. So we're looking at, got the time period here. There's a date. Now, if I right click and I come to configure, there are filters that don't work in the different market times. If we go to sort and I sort this by relative volume right now and I click OK and I click OK. All right. Let's go to time frame. Let's look at this morning. Let's say at 8 o'clock in the morning. Should, if I'm doing things correctly. Today is not 6, 10, 6. There we go. Should give me nothing. Blank. And that's because the relative volume filter doesn't work early in the morning. All right. So it'll return. A lot of times people are like, oh, my scan isn't working. Do you have a filter in there that doesn't work? No, I don't. Well, or what are you sorting on? That's a server sort. And so that doesn't work that way. And let's switch back to change from close, which is actually what I do like. And voila. Back to time frame, back to market hours, and we'll populate the data back again. So, different reasons why the data might not come in when you think it should. Not just what filters you're using, but how you're sorting the data that's coming into those filters. So that's the short and skinny of the scan. What I'm mostly looking for in the scan is kind of cup and handle patterns on the daily. It hasn't worked out swinging as well for me as it had been for a little over a year. But it doesn't mean that I don't go to the scan every single night and I take a look at every one of these charts, and some of them are going to be very extended and I'm going to want nothing to do with them. And some of them are going to look good to me. But these are the kind of patterns that I'm trying to find with it. I'm trying to find things like this. And I like it even better when I can find something that's like that and then might have some other catalyst here to make that a cup and handle. We don't currently have that right there, but I'm just trying to give an example of what I'm looking for with that, which is some simple position and range filters. And of course, anybody could take a scan like this and mold it into something on their own. Take the template that I've given you here, I'll share the scan out. Load from cloud. My evening scan, share, copy. So again, someone sees this and they say, "Boy, there's some good ideas there, but maybe I can refine those better." There you are. Take the scan. That's exactly what we're looking at here, and make it your own, any which way that you like. Let's click through some of these and see what we're looking at. So at the close, and that's I like to look at it how it closed. I want to see it influenced by after hours stuff. I'll worry about if something after hours happens tomorrow morning. And things that I really like, I'm going to put a heart up here on the chart, so it goes to my liked symbol list that's here with this T list, this top list that I'm monitoring, um, and kind of manage it like that from there. So LXRX, we discussed this already. We took a look. I like that, and that's going to get a heart. This guy here, this has been all over the place. Not crazy about it, although what I can say is obviously buyers had their way again today. Um, and say that's a significant level. All right, came down, filled this part of that gap, not the gap that came off of there, and has held that and has been moving up again. So maybe some constructive sideways building, if you will, coiling, if you will. Let's see what happens over the next few days. Just for fun, I'm going to put it on my like list. Probably won't go on my automated list, but we'll track it over the next few days. Cprx, we looked at this. Big candle today, up 10%, 50 cents. There's a big pivot level that we're looking at here. It's, looking at the all-time highs back there. We'll put it on the my liked list for fun. I don't know that it's going to amount to much of anything at this point, but we'll look at it there. And we are winding down inside 10 minutes before I have to shut down. So again, if people have questions, fire them away for me, please. CBay, boy, this was a Holly alert from a long, long time ago. That was an unbelievable alert. I always like to point this one out here. Time frame. Let's go weekly. Scroll back. Look at this. She bought it a lot, going all the way up this, which was beautiful. Didn't work out so well coming back down the other side of the mountain, but that's the way it goes sometimes. I had a lot of interest back here. Obviously, seems like a lifetime ago. Things like that I just don't seem to forget. Let's bring it back to a daily chart though. Look at how this may or may not result into anything. No, there's nothing that interests me about this chart whatsoever going into tomorrow. You know, no coincidence that it ran into this right here. Wouldn't be surprised to see it come right back where it came from. So nothing interesting about that chart whatsoever. Had its day today in the sun. We'll see. I mean, did a lot of volume, probably on news, but again, I don't concern myself with news. I concern myself with charts. So, mankind, uh, these smaller ones, pharmaceuticals, kind of tough. Patterns that I like are kind of there, but not really convinced about anything with this one here. And again, I don't think it's any small coincidence that this is where it's running into. Then you got this, then you got this. And so for me, still liquid stock, all the same. No real interest there for me. And look, some of these, CBay may explode tomorrow, Mankind may explode tomorrow, and I'm comfortable with that. They didn't meet my trading plan criteria whatsoever on short list of looking at things right now, right here. So that's as far as that goes. Let's ONDS. All right, this one a little more interesting. It's over the $10 level. Held that today. 4 times its normal volume. Liquid stock, just under 2 million shares traded today. We've got this kind of ascending move that's right here. I like that. We're trying to clear this here. We're above 10. It's a major, major psychological point for stock to get above and hold 10. And I would say, you can argue this is the next level and that's the next level. All right. So we can argue those both. Television, radio, broadcasting, communication, wireless, so on and so forth. So I'm going to put that on the like list, see what happens with it moving forward here. Something to look at here. This, at the beginning, if anybody was here, they know that I have a position that I took home in this. Shippers, I've been overall bullish. It's very hard. You see all the news about these ships stuck out to sea and they can't get port and supply chains. And then the cost of shipping went from, I don't know, something like $5,000 to $20,000 on whatever way they measure that stuff. I don't know what that means for stock price. I just know that, a lot of shipping charts have overall looked good. They had some run ups and some pullbacks. I really like the way that this looked here and here. And so I was looking at this as a possible target tomorrow, the next day. And so I've taken it home with me. It's already been my liked. And for full disclosure, when did I started looking at this one? Right click. I want to pop this chart out. And I can tell you exactly when I liked this stock. I liked it on October 6th at 8:16 a.m. All right. So that was this morning is when I clicked like on this one, as a matter of fact. All right. I was doing some evening scanning this morning instead of the evening. And that's when this came into my radar from yesterday and came out of my evening scan yesterday. I do wish I had entered it a little earlier. Um, it looked good there, and I just couldn't pull the trigger, and so I ended up pulling the trigger here. I gave up a few cents. A few cents on these lower stocks do matter. Moving to 4:26 on the hour here Eastern. So again, I'll be winding down in the next couple of minutes. So if someone's got a last minute question here, let me know. EQX. There's a radio station where I grew up in Lake George, New York, actually coming out of Rutland, Vermont. Blast from the past. EQX, gold mining. I don't know. Gold is garbage as far as I'm concerned. Um, I'm not saying there isn't money to be made in gold. I just, that chart doesn't exactly scream trade me right now. Having a day in the sun, and I understand inflation and all this stuff like that, but now gold's got to fight with Bitcoin and whatever other cryptos are out there. I'm not going to dive down the crypto alleys here. But this thing is beyond super beat up for so long. Is there a trade there? There might be, but not for me. Vert. We got finance. This thing is wacky. Can really boogie one way or the other. You can see that I was watching this for a long time here. It's a significant line that it's beaten on, and that line's been there for quite a while. You can see it beat it here, and I haven't looked at the stock in a while. I like the way it's based and coming out of here. Again, no small coincidence. This is where the price comes into. Might be a little something there to look at. And for that reason, I'm going to put a heart in the chart. We're going to like that one and do a little more analysis on that one later. So, how do you like DSX then? DSX. What do I think of DSX? Let's take a look. I feel like this was a trade of the week a few weeks ago, maybe. Can't remember. There's so many things to keep track of nowadays. I like DSX a lot. On a percentage base, it has had quite that run, pulled back there. Again, like I said, I see that pattern. Maybe somebody else doesn't. I don't draw these perfectly, by the way. So, go ahead and make fun of my drawings if you want. But this is more or less what I'm seeing there. Attempt to draw that a little better. All right, that's what I'm seeing there. You got this to contend with there, that resistance above. So you kind of got to make your bet. I don't care for the way it closed, though. I'll tell you that right now. That's not something I'm a fan of. How it closed. Closed kind of weak. But it's something. If I'm not going to put it on my list because I have other shippers I like better on my list already. But something you really like, you could heart it and track it with a my liked list and so on and so forth. So maybe my 2 cents on it. I do like the chart though. There's other shippers that I like better, and I'm just not gonna do that one right now. So, all right, everybody, 4:29. I do have to get out of here for the day. I thank everybody for the questions, the engagements. I do apologize anybody that's just joining, and I'm peeling out of here, but I am doing this Monday through Friday, 3:30 Eastern. I start the link. You're very welcome, Mike C. Thanks for coming in and keeping me company. I really appreciate that, Mike C. So every day, Monday through Friday, 3:30 Eastern, I start this broadcast. It's half an hour after Barry shuts down his room. It's the same link to get in here as Barry's running. We just let things rest for about half an hour or so before I kick it off in here. Right now, this is the forum. We'll see what happens. We'll see the popularity of it going forward. Try to do some market recaps, things like that. I have some restrictions about things that I am and am not allowed to show and talk about, as far as data goes and things like that because of, the government and all those people like that matter and, confine us. So, all right. Thanks for everybody for the engagements and everything. And we will catch you all tomorrow at 3:30. Appreciate it all. Take care. Bye-bye.